The Fall of Karen Tross, a tale of justice and resilience. I can still recall the crisp autumn day my spouse, Laura, and I first visited Magnolia Crest, a seemingly perfect suburban neighborhood. The manicured lawns, tree-lined sidewalks, and charming Cape Cod-style houses made it appear like the ideal place to settle down. It was quiet, serene, and appeared to offer everything we had dreamed of: a peaceful life in a safe and welcoming community. The real estate agent had raved about the exceptional HOA that ensured everything stayed pristine, and we felt no reason to suspect that behind the floral wreaths and freshly painted picket fences, we would soon be plunged into an intense, high-stakes battle with an overbearing HOA president. My name is Ethan Tanner, and I serve as a federal K-9 enforcement officer. My job involves training and deploying service dogs for a variety of federal tasks, from contraband detection to security operations at key government locations like airports and border checkpoints. My partner in this job, and in life, is Maple, a robust chocolate Labrador retriever with an uncanny nose for finding contraband. Maple and I have served together for years, developing a bond that surpasses many human relationships. Relocating to Magnolia Crest seemed like a perfect opportunity to focus on my work while enjoying a normal home life away from the hustle and bustle of city living. Little did I know, moving into this seemingly quiet suburb would embroil us in a bitter confrontation with the HOA and its president, Brenda Trasom, everyone whispered about as Karen. She had a reputation for harassing residents over everything from mailbox colors to the day you could mow your lawn, and we would soon discover she was capable of much worse. The initial encounter with Karen. Laura and I arrived at our new home on a warm late summer day. The neighborhood was just as idyllic as we had imagined, with neighbors waving and offering kind words of welcome. It seemed like the perfect place to settle down. The next morning, while walking Maple along the smooth sidewalks, I noticed a woman in pressed khakis striding confidently from house to house, clipboard in hand. She had a precise bob haircut, and her face was set in a permanent expression of dissatisfaction. As she paused in front of someone's house, she scribbled notes on her clipboard. When she spotted me, she promptly crossed the street. "You must be new. I'm Brenda Tross, but around here, they call me Karen. I'm president of the Magnolia Crest Homeowners Association." I introduced myself, and Maple sniffed politely at her shoes, but Brenda quickly withdrew her feet, eyeing Maple with clear distaste. "A dog," she muttered, almost as if it was an accusation. "Yes," I replied calmly, "a service dog." Brenda's eyebrows shot up. "Service dog, you say?" she asked, her tone implying she was about to find something wrong. "I hope you have proper documentation. We have strict rules about animals here: leashes, breed restrictions, immunizations, that sort of thing." I explained that Maple was fully certified and trained, and that I was a federal K-9 officer. Brenda's posture stiffened at the mention of a federal agency, but she waved it off, muttering about needing to verify the credentials. "Well, as long as your dog doesn't cause any problems," she said with a forced smile, "I'll be watching carefully." Her behavior fell off, but I hoped it was just an overzealous attempt to maintain order in the neighborhood. That was my first encounter with Karen, or rather, Karen. Tension builds. Over the next few weeks, we began to hear whispers from the neighbors. Some spoke about the intrusive rule enforcement by the HOA, including absurd fines for leaving trash cans out past noon or parking with a flat tire. One neighbor, Jack, warned me about Karen's reputation for harassing residents, especially dog owners. Apparently, Karen had even once threatened to have a dog confiscated because it barked too much. Jack told me that Karen controlled the HOA security guard, Dwayne Marston, who had a nasty reputation of harassing anyone who didn't follow her rules to the letter. A few days later, I caught Dwayne in his golf cart, glaring at me as I walked Maple. He reduced speed and scribbled something on his clipboard when Maple sniffed the curb. I didn't know it then, but Karen had clearly targeted me and my service dog. The first infraction. A couple of weeks after we moved in, the first official notice arrived, a letter claiming that we had violated HOA rules by not submitting Maple's documentation. The letter included a $50 fine for noncompliance. I was infuriated. As a federal officer, I had all the proper documentation for Maple, but no one in their right mind demanded that paperwork unless there was a very specific issue. Laura suggested we contact an attorney, but I figured I would handle it directly. I went to the HOA office, where Karen greeted me with that same forced smile. "You must be Ethan Tanner, the federal officer," she said coolly. I handed over the appropriate paperwork, including a photo of Maple's service dog ID and her vaccination certificate. Karen scrutinized them with narrowed eyes. "These look legitimate, but we've had fakes before," she muttered. "I'll need to confirm their validity." I was getting frustrated. "Feel free to contact my agency for verification," I said calmly, but she seemed disinterested. "As long as there are no issues," she said, her smile never reaching her eyes. "If your dog causes any problems, we will have to revisit this." I left, hoping that would be the end of it, but I was wrong. Karen's harassment had only just begun. Escalation and assault. Things took a dark turn one afternoon when Dwayne confronted me and Maple outside my home. We were on our front porch when he appeared, brandishing a baton. "You can't bring that dog here. She's not wearing her authorized vest," Dwayne snarled. Maple was calm, sitting at my feet, but Dwayne seemed to have a hair-trigger temper. He advanced, brandishing the baton. I tried to de-escalate the situation, but Dwayne swung the baton at Maple, striking her in the side. She let out a painful yelp, and I immediately shielded her with my body. Fury erupted inside me. How dare he attack my dog? How dare he threaten me on my own property? "You assaulted my service dog," I shouted, my voice shaking with rage. Dwayne stepped back, his face flushed with anger, and Karen appeared, eyes gleaming with satisfaction. "I'll be contacting the authorities." "You've attacked our security guard," Karen said, her tone venomous. I knew that this was no longer just a petty HOA dispute had turned into something far more sinister. I dialed 911 and reported the assault on Maple, explaining that Dwayne was a security guard working for the HOA. Federal action. The news spread quickly. Maple's injury became a rallying cry for residents, and the FBI, who had already been looking into financial misconduct within the HOA, expanded their investigation. The case grew larger, and soon, we were looking at a larger network of fraud and intimidation led by Karen and Dwayne. In a dramatic turn of events, Karen and Dwayne were arrested for their involvement in the assault on Maple, as well as for their roles in a large-scale HOA fraud scheme. They were both charged with embezzlement, conspiracy, and assault. Victory and justice. The trial was a media sensation. Karen and Dwayne's actions were exposed for the world to see, and they were sentenced to prison for their crimes. Magnolia Crest was forever changed. The community, once divided and fearful, now found peace and solidarity. With Karen and Dwayne out of the picture, the HOA was restructured, and residents were finally able to live without fear of unjust fines or harassment. Maple fully recovered from her injuries, and though she still had moments of fear, she remained a loyal and steadfast partner in my work. Together, we continued to serve our country and uphold the law. The saga of Karen Tross, the HOA president who thought she could control a neighborhood, came to an end. But through it all, I learned a powerful lesson. No matter how powerful or untouchable someone might seem, justice always finds a way to prevail.